big problem.
It's just the one mistake that kind of ruined it in the end. We kind of done alright, but then we had some failures.
The half is going to be pulling that.
Well, that won't start at all.
No, it wasn't.
Hello and welcome back for rounds 3 and 4 of the Sports 1000 Championship hosted by the 750 Motor Club. This weekend bringing us to Silverstone, racing on the national circuit, measuring in at 1.6 miles long, and with only one left-hander, it always brings a bit of excitement with it, and some close racing. We came into this weekend off the back of a good opening round at Croft, a first and a second place shared with Ryan Yarrow, and pretty much neck and neck in the championship, just hoping to keep the fight going, keep it competitive. Ryan's going to be a very tough cookie to crack, that is for sure. So came into this one arriving on Thursday night, getting set up in the paddock, as you can see. Car was mostly where it needed to be. We still had a bit of work to do Thursday night and into Friday morning, but on the whole she was in one piece. So we got to work on Friday morning after a nice little snooze under the moonlight, and unfortunately in the morning test session the upper wishbone, as you can see there, snapped in half at the weld, completely detached from the car, and the shearing force of the wheel being essentially detached unfortunately also bent the entire bottom wishbone, de-aligning pretty much everything and causing quite a lot of damage. But as per usual, my dad managed to bail me out, and with the help of my older brother and good friend Mean Lee, they worked some magic on the car, and on Saturday morning they got most of the damage rectified, squared away, got the car aligned again, and got us set up and in a position to give me some competitive chance in qualifying and hopefully keep us rolling in the championship. So we'll move into the qualifying session now, going straight in for our best lap of the session. Coming onto the main straight now, looking for that approach into Copse. And just find that braking zone, down 2 gears in the car, just over-rotating on the way in, but a nice apex early on the power. The car just fighting away from me there, and I didn't realise at the time, but the rear wheel hub was actually failing at this point. Bit of traffic now coming through Maggots and into Beckett's, compromising my line there. But still finding an okay bit of speed through, not the best, on the power nice and early. If you've got a keen eye and look at the steering wheel now, you'll see it just wobbles left and right a little bit there, just showing you that the rear wheel is kind of taking whatever tow it wants. Bit of traffic now again coming into Brooklands as we gear up for Luffield and try and make our way onto the final corner of the track here. Long right hander, it just goes on and on. With a bit of rotation on the car, an early upshift back on the power as we see Ryan Yarrow power sliding out. And that's one lap done, a very quick lap, not much time to think. And back over to the start line to set our best lap of the qualifying session, a 1 minute 0.75. Good enough for third on the grid, but with some issues for us to fix before the race.
Something's loose. I've done the best I can. I've got a big problem. The steering wheel's knocking and diving in a straight line. But we've got a lap in. What I don't want to do, yeah, look at that, we've got a huge problem here. What I don't want to do is cause massive damage to the car. Alright, we've got a lap on the board, but unfortunately we do have big problems.
And so would begin a lot of repair work. As you can see, the rear right wheel hanging on for dear life. And it would be the first of several things we discovered that were a little bit wrong.
I thought it was really quite alright. Nerve-wracking. It's good first session. We kind of done alright, and then we had some failures. So nervous, I've never been in front of a camera before. I can't do it.
Like it should be, but I remember I changed these when it got a bit bent up.
This is like what I had to get made for my M3, because the ones that come with it kept deforming and snapping on the bolts.
Give it 900 Newton meters.
I don't like do stuff. Was he bent that big?
It looks fucked.
Oh fuck.
Do you reckon that went when this went? Or to the what?
Yeah, you're right at the back of it.
You're already maxed out. You might want to take a link out of it or something. See that at the bottom?
Pretty much a back of your adjustment.
I don't know how much that slot goes. Have you got another 10 mil on there?
Slot.
Oh yeah, there. Yeah.
Sharp teeth. Got some wear on your sprocket as well, Dad. Can you go anywhere? Because it's all out of bloody alignment.
Nothing a coffee can't fix. Sorted the crew out with some beverages. Yeah, making you coffee. Probably my biggest input of the whole weekend. And boys done an amazing job, and the car was ready to go for race 1. So we'll head to the grid and listen to my grid thoughts.
Into my grid slot. Ooh. So, yeah, we'll see what we get. It's going to be a dice. It's going to be a dice, but huge effort from my dad, my brother and all my friends to get the car ready after the testing issues that we had on Friday. A lot of broken parts on the car, so a big old thanks to them. And now we wait for the 10-second board and the lights. Everything's set, engine temp's good. This is it. Marshals are clearing off. Right, first gear, clutch in.
And so this is it on the grid, hearts pounding. Ryan and Dan ahead of me. Trying to get that a good start. See what we can do. 5-second board. Adrenaline flowing. Let's see what kind of start we can get. Oh, it's not great. Ryan immediately to the inside, lost out of position to Dan, who's going to try and get that middle away into the lead as quickly as he can. My favourite word, I was a little bit tentative going through cops there for the first time. Not very early on the power, and we've got Carl Austin all over my backside. As Ryan keeps nice and tight behind Dan Clues, we make our way onto the back straight for the first time. With a misshift there. Something that's a recurring theme. A bit wide.
Carl, what are you doing? You've run me wide!
And Carl Austin, with an absolute banger of a move, caught me napping, made me look silly. Cracking stuff. So we're immediately feeling a bit anxious about Ryan and Dan getting away from us, so we're going to see what we can do to get past Carl as soon as possible. Maybe a move into Cops. It's just a little bit early on the brakes there, so I'm going to take that. Almost losing the rear there. Really struggling with grip through Cops for the whole weekend. We've got that position back, made up for the lapse in concentration there. Slightly compromised line onto the back straight, but it's enough to get the job done, and we can get our head down and go after Ryan and Dan.
To be fair to Carl, that was a great move. Can't argue with that at all.
So into Brooklands. I've got Ryan in my sights. He's got Dan in his. How's it going to pan out? Just trying to fill the car in now. Still a little bit of lack of grip. No warm-up lap. So the tyres are still coming into their ideal temperature range, as are the brakes. Everything just a little bit less grippy than what you'd hope for, but the car started to come in now as we get a few laps under our belts. Plenty of entry speed into Cops here. Just trying to find that apex, but as soon as you get on the throttle, she starts rotating. Just trying to coach myself into catching up to Ryan here as we go through once more onto the back straight.
Don't overdrive. Let the car come to me.
Checking those mirrors, looking out for Carl, and into Brooklands once more. Using all that curb on the way in, trying to get that turn in, get a bit of rotation on the car, and just looking ahead, Ryan and Dan starting to get into a bit of a melee here, and I'm thinking to myself, this battle could really help to allow me to sort of catch back up, get involved in the fight again. So we're going to bide our time, keep our head down, keep focused, and see what we can get. Checking that pit board, seeing how big the gap is behind, and trying to find that apex into Cops once more, missing it and then getting a bit of rotation on the exit. A good average speed, but definitely not as clean as it could have been. Once more onto the brakes. Maggots and Beckett's on this national layout, coming at you very quick as Ryan looks to tuck into the slipstream of Dan here. Car just getting a bit loose on the brakes there. Just starting to warn me that she's on the edge. Early upshift, bit of a power slide on the exit, brushing right out to that gravel.
Come on.
So close I could almost touch them, but just struggling to close that gap at the moment. We will stay focused, we'll see what we can come up with. Back end still just fighting me on the brakes there. It's a little bit lively. As soon as we go down the box, those rears do start to lock. And another slight misshift there. A recurring problem this weekend, and something that I definitely struggled with. A nice line through that time. A little bit loose, but actually a clean apex and early on the power.
Bit of traffic coming up now. Just factor into things.
Traffic always a factor in these cars, in these series. So we've got a slow spire coming up ahead of us, and it's going to split everyone. Ryan goes left, Dan goes right, looking for an opportunity here. Down the inside of Ryan, bit of oversteer, the tyres screaming, but I've gone really wide on the exit. Big bit of oversteer, and not quite close the gap as much as I wanted, but that was close, very close indeed, as Ryan and Dan look to go side by side into Cops. Much better apex that time, and we are firmly back in this. Through Maggots and Beckett's once more, just trying to get that braking point, get a good apex so I can get on the power. Car rotating slightly, Ryan struggling for rear grip there. Back on the power, trying to tuck into that slipstream.
Oh, another misshift.
Indeed, another misshift. I'm already starting to lose count of how many I've had. Something I need to look into and see if we can rectify for future rounds because it is costing me. Bit of over rotation on the way in there, but kept it clean. And the gap is really coming down now as Ryan and Dan start to fight it out. And I can only imagine Dan must have been feeling some serious pressure here. It's difficult having that high-vis yellow in your mirrors. As he'd been working very hard at the wheel of that Mittel, trying to keep Ryan behind him. As we go through for another lap. Another breathless lap of this Silverstone National circuit. And just a little bit of a margin actually now for Danny. He's opened up a few tenths. But that's not going to deter Ryan. So we're on the brakes once more, looking for that apex. And Dan's gone for a wide line there, trying to maximise his speed onto the straight. I think Ryan's close enough. The Mittels are quick in a straight line, but Ryan's car is no slouch either. So tucked in behind the Mittel, I think he's keeping pace down the straights. I'm just looking for that opportunity to pounce. As again, Dan takes quite a wide line into Brooklands there, opening the door potentially, but also getting a good exit. So an interesting difference in strategies from the two in front here. As that gap starts to close down a little bit now. The car's starting to come in, tyres are feeling good. I'm feeling confident I can roll with these two and just sort of bide my time, wait for an opportunity to get involved. Just trying to eke out any slipstream I can. And Dan's gone defensive here into Copse, weary of Ryan tucked up right behind him. And things are getting close now. There's definitely a move coming. You can sense it. Very tight early line from Ryan. Dan's giving him a bit of space. They're both back on the power, and we're coming into this back straight now, neck and neck, right up the back of Ryan's car in his slipstream. Seeing if we can get an opportunity. An early chink to the left there. And Ryan's going around the outside. He's looking to squeeze it, and I've seen my opportunity. I'm going to try to go around the outside, but a little bit of contact sent me wide. A real 50-50, 3 wide there. I don't think there's anything Dan could have done with Ryan on one side and me on the other. And we're going to go side by side with Dan now, and the legs on that Mittel just pulling him up alongside me and starting to eke ahead, even though I'm in the slipstream. I'm going to try and hang it around the outside here. And disaster. A real screw up there into Copse, and that's going to cost us. Again, nothing Dan could have done there. The back of the car was gone before I could catch it, and whilst trying to avoid me, he spun as well, and inevitably we've collided, causing some real substantial damage to the car. As you can see, they're really loose now, struggling for grip in every corner. Side pod crushed, oil radiator displaced, steering out of alignment, chain misaligned. A lot of bad things happened to the car from that impact. And hands up, I can only blame myself for that one. I wasn't prepared for the car to lose the rear as quick as it did. It's never happened before. It didn't happen again afterwards.
Okay, the car's bent.
Yeah, a real bizarre one. But these things happen. So, refocused, head down, trying to see that gap to Ryan to get a real over rotation there behind the Cup 200 car. And yet another missed shift. I've got I believe there is a car behind me at the moment, quite close. I'm just trying to feel my way in now, trying to see what the damage is, where it's costing me time, where the car's loose, where it's understeering, and just trying to build up an idea of where I can push, where I can't push, and get an idea of how much time I'm actually losing with the damage. So, onwards for another lap. Got Ryan in the distance, a few seconds ahead. And let's see what we can do. See if we can maintain this gap and possibly get a podium still. Try and get some damage limitation on and get the best result we can with the circumstances. surprisingly, the gap to Ryan Yarrow in first wasn't increasing, and in fact I was able to decrease it. I set the fastest lap of the race whilst chasing him with the damage, so the car, whilst not at its best, was still actually performing quite well and enabled me to actually, you know, at the very least solidify the second position that I had.
Doing a lot of damage, but it's impossible to know exactly what. Got like a bit of toe out or something in the rear. The slightest bit of lateral load and we're struggling.
Onto the pit straight now. Getting a nice eyeful of my pit board, seeing that the gap behind me is actually only about 1 second in that fight for second and third position. So trying to keep my focus and just get every tenth of pace I can out of the car. So right on the edge through Cops once more. I'm just trying to expand that gap, and if we can, close the gap to Ryan. And, you know, try and set some laps, get a feel for the car, and, you know, just solidify what we have. Damage limitation, just, you know, get through the race.
This is the focus now.
And yet another miss shift. Bane of my life, those miss shifts going up the box. Just wrestling the car onto the straight as we do another lap.
Still got pace. Still got some pace.
And starting to realise at that point that we did actually have some pace, as we set a 1:66, which would be enough for the fastest lap of the race, you know, even with the damage. So surprisingly able to maintain, you know, the lap times despite the damage, which gave me some real hope that, you know, I could at least get this second position, maybe a third position. But, you know, the podium was still on the cards despite the earlier incident, which, you know, all things considered, you know, you'd have to take that. So we're going to just keep that focus nice and positive and just try and get this car to the end of the race now. Try and nurse her through and see what we can get. But it's not to be. Unfortunately, I've lost my gear selector, and that's it. Race 1 over. It wouldn't have mattered if I was in the lead or in last place. The part that failed was going to fail no matter what. My second world failure of the weekend after the wishbone. Except this one costing me a podium rather than just a test day.
Toe, please. Sorry. I've got no gearbox. Yeah. Ah.
The marshals were absolute gentlemen. We had some chit chat while we watched the rest of the race, and then they towed me back to my gazebo where the boys got to inspect the damage I'd caused, and it was not pretty. As you can see there, substantial damage to the side of the car as Dad drills holes, straightens panels, and otherwise helps to rectify the situation. So a long night of repairs, and into Sunday morning it continued. And also have to give a big shout out to Darkside Motorsports, who lent us a helping hand with some last minute welding that got our gearbox back into the game. And combined with the big effort from the lads, got me back on the track for race 2. Cheeky bonus, that's a GoPro going on the back. So for race 2, we're going to have some sneaky rear action as the car is once again brought back to life. And we head for race 2 of what so far has been quite an emotionally challenging weekend, to put it lightly. So here we are, starting on pole position for race 2 on the outside of the grid. Lights are out and it's a slow reaction. Great start from Ryan. He's jumped straight into the lead. We've got Carl Austin just behind us, looking to see if he can squeeze through, but luckily we've got just enough to keep him covered off as we immediately focus in on the back of Ryan's car and try and figure out a game plan of how we're going to get past him, which is never an easy task. So onto the brakes now. Get nice and tight. Try and get a good run for this back straight. Running just a little bit wide, so his front tyres struggle to come in. I'm just trying to stay in the toe. That's it. Let the race come to me. That is the tactic. Onto the brakes now. Ryan's car just breaks away from him on the way in. I'm just going to tuck in, try and keep it as tidy as we can. Back end just snapping away from us, but look at Ryan there, trying to get the power down. The car's fighting him all the way. And we get a nice clean exit and a good drive onto the pit straight to start our second lap of the race. Nice and close into Cops here. Just trying to get her turned in. Bit of oversteer on the way in, a bit loose on the way out, but we've actually held a really good line through there, even with the turbulent air, and we just go for a bit of mud being spat up there. I actually flinched in the car when that happened. But feeling good early on in the race. The car's come to me. We're just going to tuck in here and see what we can do. Not quite enough on that lap, but as you can see, Ryan really struggling to get the car turned in there. Fighting him all the way, and we're going to try and take the outside line and go for that really clean exit on the way out. I think it's paid off. We've got a run and we've got the inside line. So what's going to happen into Cops? Checking those mirrors. You can just see that slight straight line advantage as Ryan creeps back alongside me, but we're going to hold the inside line into Cops but not carry it out. So immediate switch back for Ryan. He's got the inside line coming onto the back straight here. Through Maggots and Beckett's on the power. Oh, that's close.
Good side by side racing.
Can we hold our nerve up the inside here? Great exit. We'll be late on the brakes. Ryan hanging it right around the outside, disappeared from that mirror, and there he is, tucking in behind us. And now it's just time to focus. Ignore that bright yellow in the mirrors, get on the power, and try and claw something out of this race. With the pace Ryan's had, not just over this weekend, but over the past several years, there's not going to be any breaking away. It's just going to be qualifying lap after qualifying lap now to stand any chance. As you can see, right behind me, bit of a misshift, and that's giving him a little opening. But we're going to take that inside line, defend the apex, and hopefully fend him off onto the back straight here. But he's close. He's real close. He's got the slipstream. He's got the power. He's creeping out. We're going to just hold that defensive line into Brooklands here. Get the car nice and squared away on the apex. Try and avoid that cutback and then hold that inside line here. He can take the long way around, that's absolutely fine. And when we get back on the power, and try and get an exit. And a fairly clean exit. Back onto the pit straight. That's the name of the game. Keep focused, but look at him. Look at that yellow creeping up. Just taking chunks out of me down the straight. We're going to take a defensive line into Cops here. Again, compromising the exit, but not much of a choice. So if you leave a gap, it will get taken. But surprisingly, not a bad exit. Again, just staying a bit defensive on the inside here. Don't want to invite any lunges. Getting over that curb early on the power and back on the drive. Try and get a nice exit onto this straight. See if we can make up a little bit of pace before we get to Brooklands. But just look at that in the mirror. He's all over me. He's like a rash. Can't get away from him. So just being forced to keep it a bit defensive. And again, take that nice tight line through Luffield. Back on the power. And through Woodcote. Which isn't really a corner in these cars. More of a slight inconvenience as we line up for Cops once more of what is set to be a very intense race. But just nailing the apexes there, trying to feel the car in now, see if we can get a clean lap without having to go too defensive. Start putting some good lap times down, and if we can, build a little bit of a gap. But we'll see. Bit of over rotation again on the way in, bit of rotation on the way out, but we're on the power nice and early. But another misshift, and it's just happening over and over again. Really struggling. Not sure what it is on the car, but getting that shift time correctly as the car really breaks away. Look at that. Fighting with one hand all the way in as those rear wheels lock. Early upshift. Car fighting just a little bit, but we're back on the power. Bit of the limiter there, but we're going to squeeze away and begin yet another lap. They just come at you thick and fast, the laps here. 1 minute is a very short lap. Find that braking marker into Cops. On the power, the car fighting on the way in, on the way out. Ryan nice and close behind me. Keeping me honest, keeping me under absolute immense pressure. So we just got to keep focused, keep hitting those marks. Bit of oversteer again there. As we go down the club straight once more. Not even halfway through this race yet. Already sweating. Already too focused to talk. Probably just going a bit too defensive there, but I don't think the rear facing camera quite does justice just to how close the car behind is. So not wanting to invite any unwanted attacks into there, just covering it off, but compromising myself slightly. Getting yet another lap. Bit of traffic just up ahead of us. Coming to play quite early in the race. Bit of rotation on the exit. Where are they going to place themselves as we go through Maggots and Beckett's? Very considerate, well out of the way. Me and Ryan both through, nice and clean. Try and get the car turned in. Bit of rotation on the power. And out we go. Ryan still there. Ever present in my mirrors. And another misshift added to the list. How many have there been, eh? I've had £1 for everyone. Look at this again. Big moment. Big moment. Car really breaking away. And I should have picked up on this sooner, but that's the second time that's happened to me. Surely if I don't get that rectified, I'm going to pay for it. So, working away now, trying to build that gap up. It's not happening. He's still behind me, so I'm just trying to stay focused. Keep the pace hot. Spot that braking marker. Nice. Good apex, good exit. Nice and clean. Just starting to get a slight gap now. 1 minute 0.69 on that last lap. So already going faster than I have in any other session on the weekend. Better than qualifying and better than race 1 where I had quite heavy damage. So I'm feeling good in the car now, getting into a rhythm, finding my zone, keeping an eye on those mirrors, checking them constantly, looking for that threat. Just getting tucked in now, trying to set hot lap after hot lap, because in a 20-minute race like this, that's the only way you're getting anywhere. So again, good exit. Ryan closing down just a little bit through the apex there, but we're away nice and clean. And just looking for that next braking marker, next apex. Just a bit of rotation on the way in, but on the power nice and early as we start to come around to these Cup 200 cars now. Looks like he's seen me, he has. He's going to stay well out of the way, and once again me and Ryan through nice and clean. So that's not had any impact on our race, which is good to see. Bit of rotation on the way in there. We're just going to let the car rotate all the way out. She's always fighting, but makes it fun, doesn't it? Again, checking those mirrors. Where is he? He's just tucked in behind us. Again, just a bit loose on the brakes there. I'm starting to wonder, is the brake bias too far to the rear, or what balance issue do we have? Is there anything that I can change from within the car? So again, on the power nice and early. Trying to set some laps now. That gap is just increasing ever so slightly. Lap by lap, just a tenth here and a tenth there. So we're getting 1 minute 0.27, which I believe is going to be my fastest lap of the weekend and the fastest lap of race 2. But, he's fast, but it's clearly not fast enough to break away because Ryan is right behind us. Look at that. He's closed the gap right down. So, every tenth you make, it can be taken away from you instantly. The pressure piled on. As you can tell, I do not have the capacity to talk whilst I'm trying to manage Ryan behind me. Again, probably going a bit too defensive here, but he's definitely closer than he looks in that rear camera. You really don't want to invite any pressure. Or I say that as I get a huge handful of oversteer on the exit there. But we were getting sort of consistently good exits from that corner, so even with the oversteer, it's not the worst getaway, but as you can see, a 101.1, so the consistency is not quite there. Having to run those more defensive lines, really costing me that ultimate lap time, but it's a choice you have to make each lap. Do you take the ideal line and risk sort of a lunge, or do you try and cover it off at the expense of your lap times? And something I need to find the balance with. Being brutally honest, I'm not used to leading these races, so it's a big learning curve for me, and under immense pressure from a 3-time champion. So it's a tough one, but we'll figure it. As we're again forced to go really defensive here in a Cup 200 car. Caught him at quite an awkward moment. Can we find a way through? Yeah, we're just going to muscle our way through. Ryan's going to follow as well. And we start another lap. Neck and neck. And the Cup 200 car did absolutely nothing wrong there at all. He was well out of the way. No complaints at all. And this is the big problem. That rear locking has come to haunt me, and that is the mistake that is going to let Ryan right in. Compromised line now. Onto the back straight. We're going to get on the power. Bit of a slide. Ryan has got a mega exit. And there you have it. That is the moment. 2 consistent issues have happened at the same time. I've had that rear locking immediately followed by a misshift, and the combination of both has cost me the lead of this race. The question now is, can we fight back? Can we claw that lead back from Ryan? Again, just going a bit wide into Cops.
Okay, a bit more front brake bias. Oh no, right, that didn't work. Backwards we go.
Both figuratively and literally backwards we go. So in the space of 2 corners, I've really lost some time onto Ryan here. Really scruffy. Struggling with the grip now. Seems the rear tyres have gone off a little bit, or something's not quite as I want it to be. So we're going to knuckle down now, see if we can close that gap. But as we can see, you know, back markers coming into play now. And who knows what can happen when you've got traffic. It can really mix things up. It can work for you, it can work against you. So we'll wait and see what happens as we again loose through copse. And just trying to close that gap down as Ryan starts to navigate past some of the Cup 200 cars. Again, just pinching that front brake there.
Keep pinching front tyres.
So bizarrely, I've gone from the rears locking with almost no warning to now having the fronts pinching. So really struggling to find balance in the brakes at the moment. I'm just trying to claw back that time. You know, we've lost probably a second now to Ryan, so we're going to try and earn that back. It's to our left. Someone's off and it looks like they're into the wall. So hopefully they're okay. They're back on the throttle. And Ryan chasing down a couple more of the lap cars at the moment. And just keeping that gap to me as we get some blue flags to go into copse once more. And just again, the rear snapping out. So I've got the front pinching, I've got the rear locking up. It's really struggling with the balance of the car towards the end of this race. As we get a nice line. There's a spire just in front of us there. We're going to get on the power and pass them nice and clean.
Yellow flags up ahead. Take it a bit easy.
So we've spotted the yellows nice and early. Seems like they're going to be on from that vehicle we saw hit the wall earlier on. And as we look onto our left hand side here, you can see a bit of bodywork at the side of the track there and some marshals going to assist. We're back on the power now, green flags up ahead. Just trying to get some distance back to Ryan, but it's staying about where it is at the moment. Still struggling to get that ultimate pace back. Just low 101s. A good line through copse that time, nice and clean, all the way out to the exit, the car rotating. Blue flags for Ryan here and a real gaggle of traffic coming up. This could really be difficult to navigate. So we're going to try and get a good exit, still nice and close. As we've got this white and blue spire in front of us, then two Cup 200 cars. That seems to be having a real battle up ahead. Those yellow flags still in play. And we're going to have no choice here but to tuck in behind this spire as we go very slowly through the complex, and Ryan's stuck behind the Cup 200 cars.
Overtaken on the yellows. He's overtaken on the yellows.
And as we can see here, I'm still in those yellow flag zones, so just staying tucked in behind the spire here. But Ryan's driving away from us all the time. And still holding off. We've got the green flag, but I know that there's no passing until we've got past that. So just delaying the throttle, and now I can get the move done. But the damage is already done. And unfortunately, in that slight melee with the back markers and the yellow flags, I've now lost considerable time. And with only a lap or two remaining, that's probably going to be game over for me on the track. We've still got a couple of Cup 200 cars to navigate here.
Please see me. Please see me. Please see me.
And, you know, always a really difficult one. Those two guys are fighting tooth and nail for position. And, you know, they've got a Sports 1000 up behind them trying to, you know, squeeze through. So I have full sympathy. They're running their own race. They're under no obligation to just get out of my way. So all is well that ends well as we complete another lap here, and Ryan now long gone following that previous lap. So we're just going to try and get to the finish line and see what we can manage to get a bit more traffic once again, just in that turbulent air. Cup 200, Aspire. Not sure if we're actually fighting together or what the situation is here, but we're going to try and go around the outside. Don't want to turn in too early in case I get clobbered. Bit of oversteer, back on the power. And you just see Ryan there already making his way down the straight, and that lead pretty much solidified at this stage. So again, waved yellows, double waved yellows, and on the left hand side here, a car is actually beached on the apex of the corner, you know, a really dangerous position. So we're just going to take our time around here, Still yellow flags ongoing, got bodywork on the left, just waiting for that green, not sure where it is. There she is. And the gap to Ryan just getting bigger and bigger with every lap now. As we navigate through traffic and flags. And just looking for that checkered flag now. Second place, considering how the weekend's gone. Another upshift struggle there. Considering how the weekend's gone, a second place, it's a solid result.
Definitely losing the brake.
And to add to my woes, the brake pedal slowly fading away from me. Really struggling to slow the car down now. I'm not sure if we've got overheating issues or an issue with the brake line itself. But there's double wave yellow still on the go, and we've still got that Spire Beach right on the apex of the corner. But we all know it's there, so we can take avoiding action and get our way through this last corner and onto what should be the checkered flag after a very hard fought, very challenging race, which took a lot of focus to get to the end. And that's it. Little wave for the lads, wave for Dad. And wow, breathtaking. That was hard. Really, really hard fought. But a P2 on the road and a solid end to what was a very difficult start to a weekend.
So, sorry, it's impossible to speak when you're that focused, but a really good battle with Ryan there for the majority of the race. Just trying to ride that pressure, but unfortunately I lost the back end going into Cops. I tried to tweak the brake bias to get it a bit forwards, but it didn't help, and then the misshift down the back straight is what cost me the position because I couldn't defend it. His whole car was ahead by the apex, or the braking zone even. But the real talking point there, that is two cars he overtook under the yellow flag, so I'm pretty sure that I hate to be that guy, I really do, but rules are rules. I've been done for the same thing before. In reality, that should be a penalty, but it's not up to me anymore. You know, what a race. We got the silverware anyway, whether it's P1 or P2. The rest is irrelevant.
And with that comes the conclusion of our race weekend at Silverstone. In total, we got a third place in qualifying, a DNF in race 1, and a post-race promotion to first place following the yellow flag infringement there by Ryan. So, second on the track, and yeah, we'll walk away from this weekend with a lot to improve, but also happy with the overall result.
Great race, mate. Didn't have any trouble today, but nice to have Ryan.
Yeah, it was nice to have an actual battle with Ryan. There's alright, a lot of pressure. I just missed a gear going to the back straight, and unfortunately that cost me the position, so not much to do after that.
As I said to Ryan, you are so evenly matched, and it's just the one mistake that kind of ruins it in the end.
It's one mistake, and that's down to me, so I can focus a bit more and hopefully get a bit better position as well.
So that happy with how the day's gone?
Yeah, considering how bad the weekend started, it's nice to just get a little bit of silverware and go on to the next one.
Definitely. Well, I'm Rich.
Thank you. Cheers, Paulie.
You'll have a serious one and a Ryan Yarrow one. Oh, you're not sitting there.
Don't sell my car.
Join us next time as we head to Anglesey Circuit for rounds 5 and 6, which will hopefully be just as thrilling and with a little bit less damage to the car, eh? See you then.